everyone. Today, James and I are going to make some Play-Doh. So, some of the things we need for Play-Doh are flour, which I keep mine in a Rubbermaid container.
Yeah.
We need cream of tartar.
Yes.
Salt. Oil. And some water. And since James wanted colored Play-Doh, he added red and yellow food coloring to make orange. So I will post the recipe for this in the box with this so that you have the recipe. But James and I already measured out what all we need. So James, the first thing it says is to mix the dry ingredients. So we need that cup of flour. Dump in the flour, yep. And let's tap that just so we make sure it's all out. Then we need the 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, which is in here. And dump that in. Let's make sure all that's in there. And then we need the salt. Add in the salt, the half cup salt. And then James is going to take this whisk and he's going to stir it gently so it doesn't come out. Good job. Okay, so then it says mix the water and food coloring, which we already did to save a little bit of time. The next thing we're going to do is add the oil and the water. And this recipe calls for you to cook it on the stove, so you definitely need your mommy or your daddy or somebody's help. So James is going to we're going to set that aside. We're going to put the water and the oil down in the pan. We're going to pour it carefully so it doesn't spill. So we had a cup of water and a tablespoon of oil. And then it says to mix that really well too. So James is going to take and mix this well with the gentle. And then it says, the recipe says to add the dry ingredients next and then mix well again. So we're actually going to move this. James is going to add the dry ingredients to the wet. So this is the salt, the flour, and the cream of tartar. And then we're going to mix it. I'm going to help just so it doesn't. Ooh, that looks really orange. We're going to show them what it looks like here in just a second.
That looks like mac and cheese.
It does kind of look like mac and cheese. It's kind of like the Kraft mac and cheese color.
Yeah, it looks like Kraft mac and cheese.
A little bit. Okay. It says to mix this well, but I think we need to use the whisk. And then it says you need to cook it on low to medium heat. So I'm going to turn on my stove so that I will show them the recipe. I'll put it in the comments. He's showing you our recipe card, which has our recipe on it. Please watch the stove, it is hot. Okay, so here is watch out, James. Here is what our Play-Doh looks like so far. See, it's a little bit orange. And I'm going to tilt that down so that you can see what's happening in the pot. So what it says next is that we need to heat it on low to medium heat. So I have it on about 6 or 7 on mine because mine goes up to a high, but it goes 1 through 8. So depending on what your stove is, you'll have to figure out what will work for you. So you cook on low to medium heat until the dough starts to form and begin to harden, become dry a little bit. And it doesn't normally take too long, only a couple minutes. But it takes a little bit for your whole Play-Doh to get heated through. And then once it starts to form a ball in your pan, your pot here, then you can take it off the heat. But then you need to let it sit and cool. And then after it's cooled, you have to knead it for a little bit to make it soft. This is the kind of Play-Doh that Miss Tiffany makes when I bring Play-Doh in for you guys at school. Similar recipe. So when you're making this, you're learning some math skills because you have to learn how to measure. See, James and I used a couple measuring cups. We used a half a cup and we used a tablespoon, which I have a glass that has 2 tablespoons in it and we just used 1. We also used a whole cup and we used a glass measuring cup, and which we used a cup of water, and then we used a red bowl, yes. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. And keep working on our Play-Doh here. Make
Then
sure
we
you keep
use
stirring.
the glass.
We did use that for the for the teaspoons, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh, it's getting a little harder. It's starting to form. And we use food coloring. And you can use whatever you want. You could even make it white. And you know, you could also add scents to it. We could add different smells to it. And actually, James, I think I might have.
What?
Do you want to make yours smell like orange? Or you want to leave it plain?
Orange.
Okay, so we're going to add just a little bit of essential oil to it. So we're going to add sweet orange. Since he made orange
Yeah.
Play-Doh, we're just going to add 2 drops. And then we're going to mix that in so that it mixes really nicely. You probably should have put that in with the wet ingredients, but
Yeah.
it is what it is at this point. See, it's starting to get a little clumpier. So you know it's starting to cook. See it? You can see it's starting to get some chunks in it. It's starting to get a little bit more thicker. Trying to make it so that you guys can see what it looks like when it's all done. So this activity you can use a lot of different recipes for.
Yeah.
You can use Kool-Aid, and I can post a link to some other recipes as well for you of some really cool ones. But this one's a pretty easy one.
Panda and lion.
I will say the cream of tartar and cooking it makes it last a little bit longer, I found. I made a lot of Play-Doh over the years, and that's one of the ones that lasts the longest for you to use at home. It is almost cooked. Look at this. It's starting to get harder in here. Oh, it's starting to cook on the one side. So it's going to look like it's kind of sticking to the pan, which it is not. I'm going to grab myself a spatula. And I'm going to use a spatula instead of my spoon now because it makes it you can get a little bit closer to the pan for you to see what it. So see how it's turning colors here? It's making it a little bit darker. And so you just keep turning your dough until it gets hard all over. Now I think we're running out of time. So I will post a picture of what it looks like. I hope you had fun and I hope maybe you can make some too. See you guys next time.